Which agricultural crops are the next big moneymakers in Nigeria and the rest of Africa? In a recent interview with How We Made It in Africa, Timi Oke, the CEO of agribusiness company AgroEknor, which specializes in exporting dried hibiscus grown in Nigeria, highlighted some of the crops in which he sees potential. Let's watch the clip. To listen to the entire interview, click the link in the description. How We Made It in Africa's full, in-depth interviews with entrepreneurs and investors in Africa are only available on our website. And to access all our interviews since 2010 and support our work, I also encourage you to become a How We Made It in Africa member. Our YouTube audience gets a 15% discount. Check the description below for the discount code and the sign-up link. Please also hit the subscribe button below to never miss a video. Okay, enough with that. Let's watch the clip. You mentioned fonio. I saw you did some LinkedIn posts coming back to LinkedIn about it recently. Can you maybe talk a bit about like these other commodities that you are involved with? What kind of opportunities do you see there, and do you see that sort of becoming as big as hibiscus, or is it more sort of a sideline thing for you?
Well, at the moment, it's not a sideline, but it's more secondary. The focus is hibiscus remains the primary because the hibiscus demand is such a huge market. But for us, what we're interested in doing is, at some point in time, we had thousands and thousands and thousands. And right now, we just have about 7,000 farmers under the scheme. But at the height of it, we had triple of that under the scheme. So for us, it was like, what are the crops that this farmer's planting? We don't want to go and, for us, we already have a great working relationship with these farmers. It was great to see what other crops they could plant, and they were willing to plant, And Fonia was a crop that we saw that, because they eat it a lot as well, It's a very climate resilient product. I don't even know so much about it. You don't need fertilizers for Fonia. You can literally just throw the seeds of Fonia on the ground and it will grow. And more recently, Bill Gates wrote a very, very interesting article on Fonia, which you can read a little bit about it as well. But I think if the world is serious about ending world hunger, Fonia is a product you have to look at because it requires very, very limited input. You can literally just pour the seeds on the ground and go to sleep, and then in a few months it will germinate. It can grow on any type of soil. So for us, and in New York, a lot of companies, I think, have started to use the fonio grain in brewery production. I think Carlsberg recently launched a fonio-based beer. And for us, we are more interested in using fonio as a substitute for rice domestically because Nigeria imports rice. And, it's not just practical. So we're not really looking at fonio from the export side right now, even though there has been demand because it's a gluten-free product as well. So in the UK and in certain European markets, we started to see demand for it. But for us, the priority for fonio was to feed our domestic population here in Nigeria. And it's a crop we're very excited about. And we believe we're going to continue to support the farmers, even though they need very little support to grow fonio. The main issue with fonio is the processing. It's like rice, you have to dehusk it. And that is very, very labor intensive. And, we supported a few farmer cooperatives in 2 states with support for equipment to dehusk it. And we're building a business plan around it. It's still in very early stages, but it's a crop we're very optimistic about.
And you're also involved in ginger, am I right?
We were. So what we did with ginger is we had a lot of clients in the global market who wanted us to help supply ginger. And we looked at that value chain, but in all honesty, it was a value chain that already had very dominant players. We had the likes of Olams. I don't know if you know Olams, but they had, it's like the cashew industry as well. We looked at it, we looked at ginger, and yes, opportunistically, we would trade in it. But as in the medium term, we're not looking to build out a future value chain out of ginger because there are already big players who already control 80% of the market. So, we can't really compete with the sort of infrastructure and the depth of their reach in that value chain. For us, and that's why we were looking at Sissle as well, we tend to look at commodities where there's no major player already. That's why even though we have clients who come to us for ginger, for cocoa, for cashew, 80% of the market is already controlled by one company. So the rest of us are fighting for 15, 20%. So, our priority is in niche markets where the market leadership is sort of for the taking.
Hi guys, just a quick break to let you know that you can now start your own small-scale chicken farming business anywhere in Africa with Kiki Agri's ready-to-go poultry farming system. Whether you want to start a small-scale farm or supplement your current income with a backyard poultry operation, Kiki Agri's chicken houses provide an easy solution. Check the link in the description for more information.
Sissle, it's you can make bags from it, right?
Yes, again,
Yeah. Okay, maybe just talk a bit about that commodity and why it's attractive.
It's attractive because there's a lot of demand in the industrial sector. So it's grown as a crop here, cash crop, but it's used in making bags and sacks and bands. I don't know if you're familiar with POP roofing. POP roofing is very, very popular in Nigeria and Africa. So sisal is a very, very strong raw material used in roofing as well. And it's also used in sack production. And so people are always going to produce sacks, whether it's for cement or for rice. I guess the sisal is used in that as well. But the value addition that we needed to do for sisal, it took us away. We are a food and agriculture business. So we found out that the value addition we needed to do, to get decent margins would make us, would take us into industrial manufacturing. So we sort of put that a little bit to the side and then sort of now shifted our attention to Fonia more.
Okay, so hibiscus, sisal, fonio, are there any other crops that you see potential for that are not dominated by the big players?
At the moment, you see, so for us, with our next level of funding, we are looking at crops beyond Nigeria, where we're trying to make this, a more continental business. And cloves is an industry we're looking at a lot. Cloves, and it's not grown in Nigeria, but it's grown in other African countries. And it's something that we're putting a small team together to see, what the research comes up with. So if there's any other products I'm very excited about, it will be cloves.
Okay, that's interesting.